In this discussion, we're going to examine the normalization of the neutral zone. Specifically, we will examine 4 strategies for minimizing disruption and danger and maximizing employee creativity during the time in the neutral zone. The strategy 1 is that of redefining the neutral zone. A lot of times as human beings, we fail to appreciate the power of rhetoric to describe or to redefine a great challenge. I am reminded of the work of Lincoln when he gave the Gettysburg Address, and on a great battlefield of the American Civil War, Lincoln took the stand and in 10 short sentences redefined the American perspective and focused the efforts of the Union during the midst of that battle as a means or a process or a goal of achieving freedom for all peoples within this great nation. I'm also reminded of the great oratory of Winston Churchill, who after facing one crushing defeat after another, was finally given a victory in North Africa when Field Marshal Montgomery defeated Rommel, and Churchill takes the stand, and of course he wants to get the British nation refocused, and he says, "This is not the end. This is not even the beginning of the end. This is perhaps the end of the beginning." Now, I want you to look at those 2 great examples of rhetoric. These 2 great leaders redefined a struggle with simple rhetoric and words. Some of the phrases such as "we're leaving a sinking ship" could be redefined as Bridges does in the textbook to the idea of arriving at port. We must, as managers, must be conscious of the need for oratory as a means of redefining where we are and refocusing the vision of employees towards a proper outcome and a proper outlook. Under strategy 2 in normalizing the neutral zone, one would want to create temporary systems. Now, the textbook provides you these 6 ideas, but one of those is give people time to get their balance. Everyone needs a little opportunity to catch their breath. I'm reminded of being stuck out on the bicycle as a fat boy needing to exercise. My wife insists that I ride like mad. Well, when I get off that bicycle, don't talk to me for a few minutes because my fat hide is laying on the bed wheezing and gasping for breath. People need time to get their balance. Ideas are kind of like athlete's foot. They'll grow on you if you give them enough time. And a wise leader recognizes that people need time to adjust and will provide that time. During the time in the neutral zone, it's also a great opportunity to review policies and procedures for their relevancy in the current environment and their appropriateness. Policies and procedures are outdated when we leave the old way and move towards the new way, and we must be very sensitive to that. We don't want to maintain those policies and procedures that will keep us from making the change effectively. We might also want to consider the need for new roles and positions. In the changing institution or changing organization, one goes into a political time, and it is an exciting time. Those who can perform have opportunity to perform and to move up in the organization. And a wise manager will want to reward those who embrace change and envision it and practice it and bring about creative new solutions. It's also necessary to set some short-range achievable goals. Sometimes the journey from point A to point B is best achieved by going 2 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet, 2 feet, and 2 more feet, and then you're at point B. The ancient Chinese had an old proverb that says anywhere is walking distance if you have the time. Great journeys start with the first step, and they're made 1 step at a time. Another idea is to set people up for success. Unfortunately, a lot of our activities actually set up people for failure. What we want to do is to make certain that those who improvise, those who adapt, those who try to change are successful in bringing about the ideas and concepts that they set about that will really improve the organization. And of course, we want to look at the skill sets that are required for successful leadership. Simply because a manager or a supervisor was effective in the old system does not mean that they're equipped to survive in the new system. And it is our job to give them the skill sets that they need to be successful. Another strategy in the neutral zone is to strengthen connections. Well, we must recognize that the neutral zone or the wilderness is a lonely place. We need each other. We need interaction. We need communication. The greatest weapon we have is that of communication, where we can talk and bring about dialogue, find out what the concerns are that we might in order to address them, to discover what new ideas there are out there so that we might enact them. Franklin said something very profound during the American Revolution, and his words have stuck with me through many trials and ordeals, and that is that we must hang together or we shall certainly hang separately. We are all in this together, and we must strengthen our connections. Now, it would behoove us as we pass this point to remember that we must be very sensitive to all being in the same place. When we're going through transition and change and there's tightening of budgets, and for example, and we have a manager running around out here throwing money left and right, people resent that. As long as we're all in the same boat, we can maintain a standard of communication which will help us to establish direction and trust. Another strategy that Bridges promotes is that of the development of a transition management team, the TMT. The existence of a transition management team acknowledges to employees that the management has a sensitivity to the difficulty that they're experiencing as they go through transition. It is also a very proactive methodology to minimize the difficulties. One of the great challenges that managers face is that of being proactive rather than reactive. Why not fix some things before they are broken? Why not oil the machine so that it runs more effectively? The transition management team would be organized. It would have a set date that it starts, a set date that it ends, a set mission that it accomplishes. But the transition management team can be a sounding board for those that are facing difficulties to allow the upper management to determine the path that might be best sought after and to respond to problems before they become problems. The one great advantage as well of the transition management team is that it provides access into the informal communication structures. A lot of times these are referred to as rumor mills or grapevines. Informal communication structures many times are stronger than the formal communication structures. And with a transition management team, we broaden those that have access to the information so that that information can flow throughout the organization, even if it is flowing through the rumor mill and the grapevine, and that access can likewise minimize the misconceptions and misperceptions that exist out in the informal communication structures. Well, now we will move on to the remainder of the course and look at some other items as we move into the discussion of the dangers and challenges and creative opportunity of the neutral zone.